Um, Wanted to talk a little bit about an article that just came up. A friend of mine, actually, one of the guys at my Facebook page, the Mos Eisley Cantina, Andrew Farmer, posted it. It's from MovieWeb. I want to kind of talk a little bit about it. It's called, the title is Star Wars setting up Thrawn for an Heir to the Empire live action adaptation? And classic story will be resurrected as part of those plans. Indeed, we may well be seeing a version of Heir to the Empire in the coming years that could position Grand Admiral Thrawn as the biggest threat to peace in the galaxy since Palpatine. All right, and this is speculation. I mean, the guy, let's see who wrote this. Zarius, who wrote this, Ryan Scott. I got no problem with Ryan Scott. This was also posted a couple days ago, the 31st of December. So he says, I have no insider information. I'm merely a fan who's connecting the dots. Hey, Dave. That said, all the pieces of the chessboard seem to be moving in place. Disney and Lucasfilm recently announced a slew of new TV projects taking place in a galaxy far, far away, which were prompted by the success of The Mandalorian, the first live-action series in the history of the franchise. Many of these new shows will be taking place in the same timeline, a handful of years after the events of Return of the Jedi. Given that some of what we learned in The Mandalorian Season 2, there's reason to believe Lucasfilm is building an adaptation of one of the most cherished storylines in Star Wars history. For those who may not be familiar, we all know about who Grand Admiral Thrawn is. We've all read Heir to the Empire, that trilogy. We've all, we all like that story. I don't know a whole lot of Star Wars fans except for maybe the assholes that write for the story group that don't like it. Okay. Originally published in 1991, the first book came out at a time when there wasn't much going on in the Star Wars universe. La la la. Princess Leia and Han Solo are married with expecting Jedi twins. We know that. Luke has become the first in a long-awaited line of Jedi Knights, but thousands of light years away. The last of the Emperor's warlords, Grand Admiral Thrawn, has taken command of the shattered Imperial fleet, readied it for war, and pointed it at the New Republic. All right, here's the thing. We all know about Grand Admiral Thrawn. And we all know that Ahsoka brought him up. Now, I've got a theory about him and Ahsoka, him and Moff Gideon. Moff Gideon's a Moff. He's not a Grand Moff. He's not a Grand Admiral. He's a Moff. And therefore, doesn't carry the same weight as a Tarkin or a, just a minute. Will you stop it? I'll take you out a little bit. Sorry. Like I said, I can't be doing this and then watching him. Okay. Y'all know who that was too. The puppy bear. Anyway, I would expect that Moff Gideon might actually represent the death knell of the sequel trilogy. Because I don't see him getting along very well with his little plans with Thrawn. Okay? I really, really don't. Thrawn is just one of those characters that I see them actually going after each other. That's what I see. I mean, so I see their conflict, there being an internecine conflict among what's left of the Imperial core leaders, and fighting each other. I mean, didn't they do that? Yeah, they did that in the EU, for crying out loud. So we've got this, and I think the guy, where's that? And we get Mara Jade probably. He does. I didn't see where Maze read this too, and I didn't see where he mentioned Kyle Ron, but the fact is, you can't do Heir to the Empire with Kyle Ron and Rey and all the rest of that shit and make it make sense. I honestly believe when you look at the Ahsoka thing, there's the veil of the Force, and I do believe that I think maybe just by her being dragged back by Ezra might have changed everything. Now you got to remember, there was something there that no one noticed. They've got Moff Gideon, they've got the plans for cloning. What were they cloning? What were they creating? All right. Apparently, in the ST, no one knew they were doing that. Well, guess what? They know now because Cara Dune, sorry, Gina. Cara Dune now has her hands, hey, Mephiston, on everything. And she works for the Republic. Do you honestly think she's not going to say, hey, this weird shit's going on out here and we got the guy doing it? Don't you think maybe she'd say that? So there's something going on here. And I really don't see where these characters that Kennedy and Hidalgo and all these SJWs fawn and cry over fit in this anymore. And I get a feeling just by listening to people that have more, that have better links than I do, talking that it's pretty much set that the ST is being not only retconned but shit canned. Now, MovieWeb, this guy Ryan doesn't want to actually come out and say that, but the way the SJWs and the story group is acting, they know it's going to happen. Okay, so we can all go, all right, let's not jump ahead. I'm still skeptical, but Maze came up with an idea that kind of fits into this maze. May I talk about this? All right, because Star Wars Dad said he was open to it, and I am too. No, he's got one of his elk horns in there, and he wants to. I had to keep him from taking him outside because then they'll never go in. He'll never bring him back in, and he throws them around like. I was sitting there drinking a glass of wine the other night on New Year's Eve, and all of a sudden this elk horn goes flying through the air out of his mouth and lands like on my lap. I'm like, what the hell? So I'm kind of thinking maybe he's also part cat. I always thought he was a cat dog. All right. Anyway, so Mays thought this up, and I think he might be onto something. That the ST was nothing more than a money grab. That they got these, not two, but three shitty directors, JJ, Ryan Johnson, and Colin Trevorrow, and had them create this dumpster fire with nostalgia and all the rest of this crap, and to fill in while they were mapping out what they were going to do really with canon. Now, this has a lot of holes in it because one thing, actually, the holes in it I see are coming from the story group, because the story group, I'm pretty sure that somewhere Claudia Gray has a Admiral Holdo blow-up doll somewhere. I'm pretty sure somewhere Daniel Jose Older's got, Lando's package somewhere. They went full hammer and tongs with this bullshit idea, with all these bullshit ideas. And that's where I kind of am skeptical, but it also makes sense. Here's where they screwed it up. Y'all remember that it was one of Disney's former vice presidents that said, yes, we were going to do the OT. We were going to do Tatooine. We were going to do the Mos Eisley Cantina. We were going to have the Falcon there, la la la, blase blase. Probably Rise of the Resistance would have been the Battle of Endor, or maybe the Battle of Hoth. They had everything set up. And when you hear people that have been there, that look at, when you're looking down on it, you can see you could replace it with Mos Eisley and Tatooine and some other things, and you wouldn't really notice the difference. Well, Kennedy, riding high on the success of The Farce Awakens, shows up and says, and this is where I'm speculating, tells Iger, why do we have to go back in the past? We're really doing well with this new stuff, and that's where the future of Star Wars is. Translation: Pablo Hidalgo sucked my toes and convinced me to do this. I mean, that's probably what really happened. Anyway, so they went with it. They had to change everything. And now we've got word on the street from several different places now, and they're all saying that at Galaxy's Edge is going to go back, whoever says I'm not an uncouth woman is a liar. Now they got Galaxy's Edge. The rumor is that they're going to use Mando. They're going to use OT characters. This is the slow, I think, realization of what I think they wanted to do all the time. And Kennedy had a few, years to fuck it up. They let her run with it. It didn't work. And, I think the reality was, I look at, here's the deal. If you're someone with a brain and you know money, TLJ wasn't a financial success. All right, it did shitty in China. 1.3 billion, how much did it cost to make? All right? It has to make 6 times as much to be successful. It didn't make that. Soilo, a Soy War story, lost $250 million. This is where the brakes went on. And after that, this is where we heard Favreau joining the team. All right? Jon Favreau is instrumental in putting together the MCU universe, the MCU verse. He has brought in George Lucas. Okay. And if anybody wants to argue with me, I'll call you out. If you argue with me on that and you want to have an argument, you're an idiot. Because I'm going to say this over and over again. Grogu was Lucas's baby. That's where that came from. That was his idea. Okay? The name Grogu literally is George Lucas. Okay? Itself. Trust me on that. It's a shortened version of his name. Why would they pick those letters? I mean, the fact that the end of Mandalorian Season 2 was such a fuck you to Rian Johnson, to JJ, I can't write worth shit Abrams, and that bitch Kennedy, and they know it. This is why we're getting rumors that they're freaking their shit out in the story group. But what really can they do? Go watch an Ethan Van Sciver video about how bad Marvel comics are doing, how bad DCEU comics are doing. Okay? He's an independent comic book artist, and he's the most successful artist with the most successful franchise out there right now. He's beating Marvel in selling books. Okay? Now, granted, it's a niche, specialized area of media and art, but ars gratia artis, art for art's sake. People respond to that. That was also the motto of MGM. Now it's socialism for fuck's sake, or trashing white males for fuck's sake, or whatever they do. Okay? It doesn't work, does it? And it doesn't work in the comic book industry because guess who buys the damn books? White males, okay? And if it's a comic book I want, geeky women like me. I got one of the omnibus Clone Wars books, okay? But long before the advent of KK and Women Power. And it's a beautiful book, okay? I've got, is it Frank Miller who wrote 300? I've got both illustrated versions of 300. There's nothing wrong with collecting illustrated novels, which is what they are. Okay, they're beautiful. They're great to look at. They're part of what I consider the continuing story. But nowadays they're not selling, at least from the mainstream media, because a bunch of jackasses like Claudia Gray, like Cuck Wendig, and the rest of these farces got on there and started fucking everything up with their bullshit. And they don't understand why people don't like it. They get upset when people don't like it. Here, did I tell you guys this? Go on Pablo Hidalgo's wife's Twitter, Man Ray Sky, and look at what the cover is. All right, I'll tell you what it is. I'll show you. Okay. Because this is the thing that absolutely drives me crazy. Art is an emotion. Art wakens every sense in a human being. And for someone like her to be part of what she's been part of and defend it, to say this, all right, and here it is. That contradicts every fucking thing she's ever said to me, what her husband said to everybody. What? We don't love it, so we're not allowed to hate it. You know, without considering the fact that most of us have been there since. Oh, thank you, Chilean. Thank you very much. Let's get my sub numbers up. I want 2,000. This is what I want. I want 2,000. Anyway, what are we supposed to say at that? She thinks if we hate it, we don't love it. There's a reason why we hate it. It's because you took what we loved and you fucked it up on purpose. Okay? I'm sorry. I'm going to tell you what I think. I'm going to tell you what I believe. I'm going to be the most authentic fucking person in the fandom menace. But when I read that, I was like, you hypocritical little hag. I'm like, but she's also, all right, I'm Catholic. Y'all know I'm devout. This is my St. Paul's medal. St. Paul the Apostle. Okay. And this woman is following around Father James Martin, whose biggest claim to fame is, let's put it this way. The church has been infiltrated by a lot of scumbags, and he's one of them. He very much and loudly wants people to only take what they want from the magisterium and the dogma and leave the rest of it. That's not how it works. This is why being Catholic is so hard. Okay, kind of why Protestantism and the Reformation happened is there were people out there, the indulgence, whatever, but there were people out there saying this is too hard. Following the 7 sacraments is too hard. There are also people out there saying it's not hard enough. And thinking, the bullshit paganism, of the Puritans attacking the church. And, I could go on with the Roundheads and Cromwell basically committing genocide against the Irish, but I won't get into that. And I'm not Irish, I'm just Catholic. Cafeteria Catholics. She is pro-choice. She is pro-gay marriage, all right? And I have gay married friends. I go, but they didn't get married in the church. I think you're right, Chillin. I really, really do. However, they know that I don't approve of it, all right? I can't. That's not what the catechism said, but this woman started giving me shit about being angry, and I fired back at her and said, I'm a lion, not a lamb, which is straight out of Revelations. I'm sure it went there, right around her head and came out the other side. Anyway, but if we hate it, we don't love it. Okay, that's what she's saying with that. I'm going, that's not how it works. Here's how it works. For 40 years, no one ever fucked with Han, Luke, and Leia, with Obi-Wan, with Anakin, any of that shit. Then Disney gets its hands on it, and, if Maze is right, they had 6 years to fuck everything up, and they did, okay? They did. And now they're all upset because somebody came in and is fixing it. and it's your fault. It's my fault. It's Jeremy's fault. It's Maze's fault. It's Craig's fault. It's Dave's fault. It's Tom Connor's fault. It's Ethan's fault. It's Andre's fault. It's Mecca Random's fault. It's Anna's fault that we didn't like what they did. It's like, if you don't love Star Wars and you're working on it, or you love it so much you want to change it, maybe, dumb fuck, you shouldn't be working on Star Wars. Maybe you should be working with Rian Johnson on his, he could do his own goddamn space opera trilogy. All right? And where is that? Nowhere. Why? Because he doesn't have one. And the little fucker knows it. Okay? Why Disney doesn't come out and say that? I'll tell you guys something. If I ran Disney, it would be a lot more transparent. And I would have taken my lumps a long time ago firing Kennedy. I would have personally shown up on the set of Solo, and I would have said, we're shutting down this production. I mean, and no, actually, Alden Ehrenreich never would have been fired, because the moment that idea would come past me, I would have gone, you have got to be kidding me. He's a dwarf. He's a hobbit. He has no authentic masculinity whatsoever. He couldn't carry Harrison Ford's jockstrap, for Christ's sakes. Get him out of here. All right? If you're going to do something, you do it right. And you're there because you love it. All the leaks that came out of the Solo project were leaks by people who hated what they were doing. If you notice something, no one ever leaks a goddamn thing about what Favreau and Filoni are up to. We didn't even know the Book of Boba Fett was coming until the end of Mando 2, did we? All right? That's the difference. All right? Now, we've got a certain segment of the Phantom Menace insisting that Kennedy's still there. As long as Kennedy's there. In what capacity? Well, Maze and I were talking about before. Let me recap it. I talked about a version of Heir to the Empire showing up and what they were doing, and I think it's a great idea. It's an idea whose time has come, and I don't approve of Kyle Ron being part of this. I really wish and hope that they would actually come in and just bring the twins in, and you're welcome. And and this is just speculation, but when you look at how they're mapping everything, the things that Favreau is part of, oh yeah, Maze is right. Go back and look at what he just said. The ST is a cash grab, okay? And what I think they're doing now is what they wanted to do. And I really think that they realized what a failure it was. I think Kennedy kind of stepped on a bunch of people's feet for Galaxy's Edge and pushing her vision. And basically the story group was allowed to just, trash Solo, trash Luke, trash Leia. Those stupid YouTube shorts, Galaxy of Adventures, where you show Leia punching Luke, Leia kicking Chewie in the ass, instead of, when you watch the actual movie, Ford heels Chewie into the garbage chute. And it's like, no, and no fancy. Maze is right. No fancy store needed. An exorbitant budget. Lots of fan service that didn't work. That went over like my dog taking a dump in the middle of the room on Christmas Eve. And three clown directors. And it would fit Iger's mindset to do something that stupid. Okay, to be that impatient. Yeah, and then Favreau got fired. The first directors, well, Lord and Miller got fired from Solo. Um, Gareth Edwards, right when they were editing Rogue One, got fired. I mean, I want to tell you something. Why did Rogue One work? Because it worked. I don't care what anyone says. You can scream about the EU, but Rogue One worked because it wasn't part of that mess. Okay, it actually, the characters are memorable, but it actually tells a story, all right, that is very Star Wars-ish. And you get lots of callbacks. You have R2D2 and C3PO. It was good nostalgia having them show up. You've got, when Bail Organa showed up, I almost started crying when I saw him. You've got a fairly decent deep fake of Peter Cushing. And of course, Vader, which was like, that's the best. I mean, it's like, both times he shows up. And, Krennic was a good character. Galen Erso was my favorite character in it. Very strong father figure. There was no messing around with, Galen the cuck. He wasn't a cuck. And then, of course, you had, Leia. And that wasn't a great deep fake, but I think I did a reface of her. What I did was I took that and then put Carrie Fisher over it. And actually, it worked better. It worked a lot better. There's more. I mean, I think what you could do with that, stuff like that, is keep layering that face and tweaking it, tweak it, layer until you get it right. That's why it worked, though. Okay? I mean, when you have Galaxy's Edge and people going, where's Mando? Where's Baby Yoda? Where's Luke? Where's Han? Where's Leia? Vader's there. And I really think that the turnover was happening. Because we discussed this before in public, in other places, that there were rumors coming out that the sequel trilogy characters were going to disappear. No one gives a shit about Rey. No one cares about Kyle Ron. And it was a cash grab and it didn't work. Now they're realizing, was it ars gratia artis? Art for art's sake. Oh God, he was probably some EU fanatic. I love the EU. Okay, I do. All right, I really, really do. But I want to say this. There are people out there that can't let it go. They're pissed about Luke showing up. I saw someone quote tweet Mark Hamill and yell at him about it. It's like, and then the excuse was, well, I wasn't yelling. Yeah, you were. You're being annoying and nitpicking. Okay. Crying about the fact that, not wearing his flight suit. This is how bad that has gotten. What I hope is if Mara Jade shows up, she ends up being some kid they discover, and they save her, and she ends up being Luke's main apprentice. I know there are a lot of people here who love that relationship, but for these EU fanatics, they need a lesson, okay, to stop, all right? If you get Mara Jade, and she's a badass Jedi, won't you be happy seeing Luke as Grandmaster Jedi training this new generation? You should be happy, okay? Seeing Han and Leia do what they do. Leia as Chancellor of the Republic, as a Jedi. Han being a general, all right? Doing all the rest of this stuff. Yeah, they could do that too. Anything like that. But it gets to the point where, you have to explain that the perfect is the enemy of the good. And there are people out there that don't want to hear that. And it's like, I can't do this anymore. I can't. You need to stop. Okay? There are a lot of really spoiled people out there. Someone did because of the continuity issues. What are you talking about? Oh, yeah, that. Yeah, well, fuck them. Okay? Anyway, I gotta go because my husband's back. I don't know what he's doing. Anyway, you guys have a good morning, and I'll stay around. I might be back later, and I'll stay around. You're welcome, everybody. Thanks, Dave. Bye, Maze. Bye, Chilean. Thanks for everybody new who showed up. Hit that like and subscribe button. Talk to y'all later.